Hey there. What's up, YouTubers? Okay, let me
Greetings, YouTube.
wow. Share the link. JR, if you George, if you want to put that up on the Facebook for me, and I will mess with the front page.
Yeah, I'm about there.
Okay.
That's like George's shtick. So when we do Jeopardy next month, George, I have the episode numbers, the month they came out, and the winners.
Oh, good.
So, just FYI. I hear myself on YouTube.
Yeah, I haven't muted it. There we go.
Yep, it's on the front page now. I don't know what was wrong with the last time I was messing with it. I couldn't figure it out. Okay, let's see. We've got 6 people. Hello, 6 people. How are you? Okay, JR, November 75, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah,
we'll start with ASM 150.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the YouTube hangout here.
Oh, here, let me share that with you.
There you go, JR.
Oh, yeah, you got it. There it is.
Here we go. Because I keep clicking on the old links and then...
I just updated the front page and put that up there too. And JR, can you tilt your camera down just a little bit?
Yeah. Hang on a second here.
Brad,
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Santa Claus for a new webcam. Actually, I'm asking Santa Claus for a new computer. I'm using my old laptop for work, and it's like struggling to get along.
Is that better?
Yeah, that looks good. That looks good.
So,
oh, what are you putting in front of you, JR? What is that? Let me see here. Oh, hold that up. What is that?
What? Which one?
No, either one.
They're chess pieces.
Oh, neat.
I got this one when I actually visited the real Mile High Comics, their warehouse in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And this one when I visited Heroes Are Hard to Find comic shop in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Those are huge pieces. I didn't know they made a Spider-Man chess set that big.
Are they like the opposite, like kings on each side? Is it like an all-Norman chess set so he can fight himself internally?
No, they're different. They're different chess sets. I don't know. Like for example, in this one, the Green Goblin is a knight, and in this one, Norman Osborn is a rook. So they're different Spider-Man chess sets. So
That's cool.
Yeah. Different years, different. So anyway, but that's what they were.
It sounds like a game for nerds.
This whole
says the guy that
nerds.
Scream the guy that plays D&D.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Hornacek just called you the Goblin Knight. There you go.
There we go. Well, actually, oh wait a minute. That's what is that? Is that what Phil Urich is now?
What he was during Goblin Nation.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I don't consider that a compliment then.
Kalish, welcome. Hornacek, hello. Comic book guy, crawl space in the house. Yes, we are. 13 people watching right now. So, YouTubers, basically, we're going to record 2 Spider Histories, the November 2017 one and the December one.
Speaking of Phil Goblin, I finally have him completely assembled.
Let's get all that out now.
You got what assembled? I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I have the full Phil Goblin.
Oh, you had to get that. One of the pieces was a Spider Girl, wasn't it?
Yeah. I now have. I've had now 3. Because Gerard's living with me now, so he had Spider Girl as well. I have 3 Spider Girls because I broke one of the feet off one of them, and so I ended up selling one of the Phil Goblin headsets, and now I'm going to sell the next one because he had that Build-A-Figure pieces too, and I'm going to get rid of those, get some money out of them. So
all right, JR, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming down in, I'm not ready. Let me pull up ASM 150's info here. Got it. Okay. Coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our November Spider History with JR. JR, we haven't done one of these in a couple months.
Yeah, I know. I guess something was wrong with the website or something like that. I don't know what it was. Somebody wasn't paying the bills, or I don't know what it is. But we all had we were all having a nice vacation, and then all of a sudden we started getting these harassing texts. When do you want to do Spider History? When do you want to do a Spider History? It's like,
because the fans demand it, JR. They love Spider History.
I don't know. I mean, the last time you said the fans demanded something, it was only Tyson. So that was the Saginaw, Michigan Febreze epidemic.
We as you probably have heard in the past, we also stream video on YouTube as we record these. And so we have a live chat of about 18 people watching us right now. And yes, are the fans, I'm talking to you YouTubers, do you not love Spider History? In a moment, you will see the chat windows just blow up.
Because there is a delay.
There's a little bit delay. But and Clover Fan 98, I'm a fan and I demand it. There you go. This is who we're broadcasting for.
All right. Well, I guess that justifies me being up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and just for you, Clover Fan 98.
Us crotchety old Spider fans love you, JR. Logan.
Well, I'm glad there's more crotchety.
Kalish, Spider History is great. Hornacek, we love Spider History. Bring on the props. We also have Zach on the line. What's going on, Zach?
George complains when I bring out props because my ADD kicks in and I get bored and things like that. But when JR brings out props, suddenly it's the most hilarious thing ever,
Well, that's because my props contribute to the story. Yours are just, here's some random piece of shit, and it's. But see, Brad used to do that all the time too before we started live streaming. When we were just recording these, Brad would bring out, George and I would be talking, and then Brad would bring out a lunchbox, and and then he'd bring out an action figure, and the action figures would dance, and then George and I would just sit here and marvel at how he, no pun intended.
I go away, I come back, we're still doing action figure stuff.
I just got done introducing Zach, and we also have George on the line for Spider History. What's going on, George?
Oh, not much.
Yeah, I still keep that Hulk Goblin just to troll JR.
So, JR, for Spider History, we're headed back to the year I was born, which is 1975. November 1975 was a milestone issue.
I was about to say, well, that's because that was the year you were born, right?
Yeah, there you go. Amazing Spider-Man number 150 came out with a story called Spider-Man or Spider Clone.
I know. I tell you. I wasn't... when Brad had suggested this month, among others, I saw that one of the stories was a repeat of a story we had done. Not a month we had done before, but a story we had done before. And I said, I don't know. I don't like to repeat myself. But then I saw that it was Amazing Spider-Man number 150. And I figured, this is sort of a fairly historic issue. Not only was it originally it was the end of a major storyline. It was also apparently, as retcon 20 years later, the beginning point of yet another era, which, of a different Spider-Man who we didn't know at the time was a different Spider-Man. And that's why I figured that Zach would be on this one today, because he'd probably have his 2 cents to say about this.
I do.
But we'll make sure we have a Captain Xerox expert on here.
Captain Xerox.
But anyway,
was this issue double priced, or was it just a regular priced issue?
It was a regular priced issue at 25 cents.
It wasn't big. It wasn't a big issue. Anything, nothing special.
No, that's what comics cost back then, Brad.
I know.
You don't remember because you were still fetal.
I was scrapping my diaper. Oh, that's funny.
No. Actually, I'm at the age that I'm doing that now. So anyway.
There you go. So 150. That's got a cool cover on it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's back when there were actually word balloons on covers, and back when the covers actually illustrated part of the story rather than just some kind of generic poster piece.
Yeah.
So. But,
So take me through it. We've got this one written by Archie Goodwin and Gil Kane.
yeah,
art.
the legendary Gil Kane was the artist on this one. But anyway, this starts out with Peter Parker having just, finally celebrating the loss of his virginity. Okay, because as you know, boys and girls, Peter and Gwen never had sex because JMS said they didn't. Okay, in sins past. So, a lot of Spider fans, for fairly good reason, settled on issue number 149 after the Clone Saga, the first Clone Saga was over. And after the Gwen clone went off to parts unknown to become Joyce Delaney turned into Gwen, then actually to be turned back into the Gwen clone again, and then to disappear for a while again. And then didn't she come back an old hag or something in Spider Island or something? But I got lost.
No, she was killed by a version of the carrion virus. Yeah.
Okay, but this is not the same Gwen that showed up in this bring him back from the dead thing, right? What that slot did?
No.
Okay. But anyway, so Peter, of course, is really bummed out because Gwen clone left to parts unknown or whatever, and he opens his door and there's Mary Jane standing there. Now whether I didn't know that she already had a key to his room or whether she was an expert locksmith or something like that, but there she is standing there. He says, "I'm glad to see you." She said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Well, let me show you, honey." And the door shuts. And so a lot of Spider-Man fans have picked that moment as when Peter lost his virginity.
Okay.
So anyway, so now Peter is standing around, thinking, man, an hour. Well, anyway, here's what it officially says. It officially starts out by saying 1 hour ago, it was all right. Mary Jane was here and Peter Parker could lose himself in her, in their closeness, in their mutual need, which sounds pretty hot to me.
Ooh.
So Peter's saying, man, I just got laid for the first time in my life. So why am I so depressed? I mean, I should still be saluting the flag, And,
oh my God.
But I'm just depressed. And then he's thinking, you know what? I don't know if my 12-inch Scarlet Spider is the real 12-inch Scarlet Spider or if it's the clone 12-inch Scarlet Spider attached to a clone me, because I was fighting myself and all that kind of other crazy shit, and Shea Stadium blew up or whatever, and then Mary Jane and I hooked up, and I'm confused. So the only thing to do in this postcoital rapture that I'm in is to go out and web slip. And as a Spider-Man as well,
he doesn't smoke, so he's got to do something.
After you just took him a giant drag.
A giant what?
Drag.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something else or whatever. I thought you said something else that used to be known as a name for a cigarette, but then became a disparaging term.
Look at the time. Yeah.
That escalated.
Anyway, okay, so Spider-Man, anyway, there's this mysterious figure that says, aha, I've been following Spider-Man all over the city, or I've been looking around for him, and now I find him. Aha, I'm going to have my revenge. Anyway, so Spider-Man decides, well, I got to go to somebody who knows what, who can tell me if I'm the real deal or not. So he goes to Kirk Connor's lab, and he spills his guts. And Connor says, well, okay, well, let's, we'll see if you're the fake or the real, and we'll run some tests. And so they do it. They run all these tests, and Connor says, oh, you better lay here on the couch, whatever, rest for a while, and I'll give you the results in a few hours. Well, so Spider-Man, lays there on the couch, and he's kind of trying to relive the moment with Mary Jane there a little while back. And then he hears this bald guy, which he thought, oh, shit, Brian Douglas is out there harassing me. But no, it's really the Vulture.
In a bird suit, yeah. Me and Michael
So
Keaton.
it's the Vulture, who does not look like Michael Keaton at this point in time. So anyway, the Vulture is taunting him to come outside, fight me, and so, so Spider-Man, goes outside and fights the Vulture and jumps on his back and says, I'm in control now. And the Vulture says, no, you're not. I'm going to fly right into this wall. And so Spider-Man jumps off him and the Vulture hits the wall and disintegrates. Spider-Man goes, wow, that's really weird, man. I've never saw him do that before. But then the Sandman shows up. And then the Sandman, starts kicking his ass or whatever. And then Spider-Man jumps on a big water tower and kicks over the water tower and causes all this water to fall off. And thinking, well, he'll be a limp noodle after all this water, which actually was kind of the way I was after Mary Jane left my apartment. But and so. So anyway, he expects to see the Sandman, like little pieces of sand or what. He says,
Wow.
nothing's there. Holy shit, what is this? But then all of a sudden the Kingpin shows up. And then Spider-Man says, this is becoming very familiar. This is a lot like issue number 100. He said, when all these like enemies of mine started coming out of the woodwork, I said, boy, I hope this ain't a dream. And I wake up and I got 4 extra arms again, because man, that really kicked ass. Or actually that sucked ass. And it would have sucked even more ass if I'd had to keep them, because in an alternate universe where Morbius got eaten by sharks, I had to keep them. But anyway, so he fights the Kingpin, he kicks the Kingpin's ass, and Kingpin disappears again. And it's like, oh man, Spider-Man's going, I'm worn out, I don't know what to do. All these guys keep showing up. And then a big giant spider robot shows up, and it's Spencer Smythe. And he says, aha, I'm not a faker, I'm the real deal. And I created all those fake villains to wear you down so that you're going to be tired, and I'm just going to beat the shit out of you. Anyway, so he zaps Spider-Man with a tentacle, a metal tentacle, and Spider-Man's being squeezed. Oh, I'm dying, I'm going to die, I'm going to pass out. And then he thinks about, what poor old Aunt May going to do? And then his last thoughts are of Mary Jane.
Which is a great looking panel. Look at her red hair just all over.
And then it becomes clear to him, I'm only thinking about Mary Jane. If I was the clone and I had been hanging out with Professor Warren, because Professor Warren had, he had something for Gwen, he was obsessed with Gwen. I would be thinking, if I were the clone, boy, I'd like to bang Gwen, but I also want to bang Mary Jane. However, but I'm only thinking about banging Mary Jane. Therefore, I'm the real Spider-Man.
Oh, God.
God.
So anyway, this
when he puts it that way, it sounds a lot more gross than it actually is.
So that gives him
the YouTubers are just enthralled with this. They haven't been talking for like 3 minutes. They're just listening to the romance novel as told by J.R. Fettinger.
It's not a romance novel. It's a Dear Penthouse letter. It's a penthouse.
So anyway, so Spider-Man now, gets it back up in more ways than one, and he busts the metal tentacle, and he goes and he beats the shit out of Spencer Smythe, and so. This gives him, he gets in, he's come back now from the gloom and doom he was in. He goes back to Connor's lab and he grabs the report. And this is very important, boys and girls, because he decides not to read it.
Yeah.
Because he was wondering whether or not he was the clone, but he disperses it to the wind, saying, I already have my answer.
Not really.
Well, no, he really
should have read it. It would have saved him a lot of grief later on.
About 20 years later, it would have.
You know what I mean?
It would have saved us all a lot of grief.
But anyway, because this time Spider-Man thought with his penis rather than his brains, the day is saved. And Brad just keeps shaking his head at disgust. I mean, that's what this whole issue is about. This whole issue is about what the night after.
Okay.
As unfortunate as this issue is, because it deals with clone stuff, this is one of the books I've pointed to later to point out about how every time Marvel's always said, the marriage was bullshit. It came out of nowhere. It was editorially forced and everything else. That was total bullshit. You had stuff like this that was establishing it like a decade before it even happened.
Mm-hmm.
150.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
let's go.
wait a minute. That wasn't the best thing about this issue, though.
Oh.
The best thing about this issue is because I'm going to the original issue. I'm not looking at some kind of, computer generated digital nonsense that Brad's looking at.
It's Marvel Unlimited, sir.
But does it have the ads?
It does not have the ads. Let me see.
Well, then you're missing this. And the Hostess Fruit Pie ad, the Incredible Hulk,
wow.
and the Twins of Evil.
Oh, the Twins of Evil. Okay.
The Twins of Evil. So anyway, so it starts out with the Hulk and the Abomination fighting, and the Abomination says, "Alone I can fight you to a standstill, but then Wendigo joins. Together we can render you helpless." So then they, Hulk only want to fight fair. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Anyway, so they kick Hulk's ass, and he's laying there on the ground. And then these two kids show up. "Keep away, Hulk no like people." And the little one of these little kids says, "It's okay, Hulk, we'll help you." You've got to have some.
That's how the children in your headspace sound. Like little monsters.
Well,
I'm in Chaos World.
Trust me, they are little monsters. You'll find that out, Zach. You just right now they're still in the cute, adorable, shitting profusely stage. But then they'll be.
We're potty training right now.
Yeah. So anyway. The other kid says, "You've got to eat something, Hulk. Here, have a Hostess fruit pie." And the other kid says, "You'll like the real fruit filling." And then it goes back to the first kid. "And how about that light, flaky crust?" And it's the light, flaky crust that does it because Hulk happy now. Hulk thanks boys. Hulk likes boys.
JR, you
hey, boys, come back for more with more pies.
Oh
but
my!
anyway,
This is JR After Dark, Douglas.
So anyway,
speaking of the Hostess thing, Douglas.
Yeah.
I talked to our resident Hostess ad expert, Mark Alford. And I'm doing the Kirby thing again. And
I feel you. Yes.
I think on one of the upcoming Friday night fights, we're going to bring him on and do like a top 5 Hostess fights.
That'd be great.
Break those down for
that.
people.
That would be sweet, like a Hostess fruit pie.
God, I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
It would be
where's the close button?
Okay, so let's go from that sexcapades, JR.
Oh Jesus.
To Spidey Super Stories.
Actually, we'll do a reference here. To Marvel Team Up number 39.
Oh, you want to do? Okay.
Or also
because
look at JR.
Because that's the story that was also published this month, but we've already talked about.
Yeah, you see, basically what happened was in let's see here, in December 2011. Okay. Brad said, "JR, pick a month or whatever." So I picked December 1975. And this was podcast 161, boys and girls. Go look it up. And it was Marvel Team Up number 40, which was actually part 2 of this particular tale, where Spider-Man teamed up with first the Human Torch and then the Sons of the Serpent. Okay, and I did the whole story back then. Actually, both parts. It was where the son and daughter of the big man and Crime Master came back, and everybody thought, "Oh, they're back from the dead," but no, they really weren't. And it was Bill Matlow's attempt as a white guy to write for black people, and it wasn't particularly successful.
I remember that episode. Yeah.
And we had such a good time with that episode. I really didn't want to revisit that ground. I mean, we kind of pretty well had a good time with that one.
They can look that up on that episode.
And see, that's the point. See, this serves as an ad. You watch this, and then for those of you who need to go back into our own personal back issue bin, podcast number 161. All right,
there you go.
Anyway,
so
now let's go to the next.
We're going to Spidey Super Stories number
We're doing
14
episodes now.
Yeah, we've been around so long. Spidey Super Stories number 14.
Yes,
was Shanna the She-Devil on the cover.
No. This is she's not a she-devil. This is Shanna the Jungle Queen.
Oh, yes, my bad. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yes. This is the Jungle Queen. Spidey Super Stories, because you got no ads with this. It cost you 35 cents.
And big, easy to read print.
Yeah, easy reader, man.
which particularly for us old people with bad eyes, I'm starting to read these again. But anyway, but first, what we get here, we get the origin story of Shanna or whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, what she was a vet, and it says Dr. Shannon O'Hara was a vet, and then it explains an animal doctor, because Spidey Super Stories was geared toward people who attended the Missouri public school system.
Oh,
Have they collected those in trade paperback for readers like Zach yet?
no.
I don't think so. I think probably
middle
because of the
finger
licensing issues. I don't think they've ever been seen since their original publication.
I think they had a trade maybe in the 90s, but it's pretty rare.
No, they actually, I thought they did a recent trade, Spidey Super Stories.
Really?
No.
Yeah, but I know in the original Clone Saga trade they did include giant size Spider-Man and Man-Thing, number 5. Had the Gwen clone in it. That's why.
So anyway, the people who attended Missouri public school system, where they later grow up to vote for dead people, and college and then they have college professors who scream at journalists for invading students' safe spaces. That happened in Missouri.
Man, you read up on Missouri.
It's not so much I read up on Missouri, but it just shows up in the news feed all the time.
Yeah,
because
that was like reported widely in the press.
Missouri and Florida.
Your alma mater went into free fall there.
I know. I'm even wearing a shirt too. Yep.
Anyway, so as this explains the origin here, she learned to walk and talk with the animals, like in a Dr. Dolittle song. And then as a result, she promised to protect her animal friends and became known as Shanna the Jungle Queen. So essentially what she does is she goes from a fully clothed veterinarian and she decides that, well, I'm in Africa, all right? And what I'm going to do, I'm a blonde white girl, okay? So in Africa, I'm not going to wear any protective clothing. I'm not going to wear any sunscreen. I'm just going to get this bikini leopard spotted onesie. I'm not going to wear any kind of protective shoes. I'm just going to run around barefoot with all kinds of poisonous indigenous creatures, spiky plants, things of that nature.
She's a vet. She clearly had to kill a creature for her
for her suit.
Exactly. I mean, probably see this. She probably euthanized this poor thing right here and then skinned him. So.
Are you talking about the Amazon rainforest or Africa? Because I think you're getting your streams confused.
Now this is Africa.
Okay.
You know, don't you hear the rains? You know.
I can hear the rains.
So anyway,
wow, that's pretty good.
That's the song for this podcast, Douglas.
So actually, there's 3 stories. See, with Spidey Super Stories, you don't get just one story; you get 3 stories.
Good.
Our first story.
By the way, they phoned in the Spider-Man on the cover. That was just a cut and paste or whatever. That's a bad looking Spidey on the cover. That was like a corner box that they enlarged.
But you were looking at Spidey.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I guess that says a lot about you. You were looking
hand in your man card, Douglas.
Here it is, George. Here it is.
Kirby-esque. And you honestly, George, you thought that Brad had a man card to begin with?
Here it is. Here it is, Zach.
So anyway, this is my show. Okay. Anyway,
I'm
so the
sorry.
first.
Is it? Here, let me play the world's tiniest violin for you, jackass. As somebody who took someone else's show over one time. Here,
well,
do you hear that? Do you hear that? The sound of the world's tiniest violin.
There was a lull in the action, George. You went into a lull, and nature abhors a vacuum.
It's playing a song called "Ghost Break the Hell's Bastard."
At least you two have shows. I just show up.
Basically, that's Zach's the cousin.
I don't get the privilege of having a show.
You got Clone Saga Chronicles. There you go.
Anyway, the first of 3 stories.
Not on this network of podcasts.
The first of 3 stories is called Haunting Season, where Spider-Man encounters recurring electric company character J. Arthur Crank. Okay, so he's hollering for Spidey's help because he thinks there's this haunted house where this vampire lives. And Spider-Man says, I don't have your time for your senile delusions, and because he pulls a wanted poster out of his pants.
Spider-Man pulls a wanted poster out of his pants.
Well, he has to, because you see, in the previous panels, you don't see any wanted poster, do you? Okay. And then all of a sudden, he pulls out a wanted poster.
What if he had it tucked under his shirt? Why does it have to be inside his? Never mind. The question answers itself.
So anyway, so he pulls this wanted poster out of his pants, and he says, "I don't have time for you, you senile old fool. I'm looking for the Mad Thinker." See, because the Mad Thinker wrote on the back of this wanted poster, "Beware, my robot army will take over the city."
I don't think anywhere on the internet this issue has ever been reviewed.
So anyway, so Spider-Man swings off. J. Arthur Crank goes into the house and he gets trapped. So, but so as Spider-Man is swinging around the city, all of a sudden he sees a vampire. Okay, who would look like Morgan Freeman if the art were better.
Real quick, who wrote this Spidey Super Stories? Hornacek wants to know. Who's the author of this tale?
Gene Thomas.
And penciled by?
Well, it was penciled by Winslow Mortimer, whose name I would make fun of but somebody took me to task a long time ago for making fun of Winslow Mortimer's name and besmirching his legacy. So I won't do that again.
Okay.
But the art director was John Romita, so he must have been asleep at the switch. Anyway, because he wasn't directing. Anyway, but Spidey notices this vampire has a little wind-up thing in his back. So, yeah, there's something fishy here. And he walks into the house. And Spider-Man says, wait a minute, not only is it a wind-up thing and it's sticking out of his back, but vampires don't come out in the day. It must be a robot. Well, who makes such real-life robots? Okay, so as you notice, no wanted poster, okay? Then next panel, wanted poster. All right, so
pulled it out of his pants again.
Pulls out of his pants, and it's the Mad Thinker. He said, "Well,
his third web shooter was protecting the wanted poster."
So the Mad Thinker has to be in the house. Well, Spider-Man goes into the house, and the real vampire answers the door, who would look like Morgan Freeman if the art were better. So, anyway,
this is a great leap of logic.
Wait, hold the art back up. Show us the vampire again.
Yeah, let's see the vampire, JR.
Let's see here. All right. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, I guess that could pass for Morgan Freeman.
So basically what you're saying is it's Blackula.
You said that, I didn't. Vampires, I don't see.
Which is cool because the guy that did that played Blackula
was Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Did the voice of Juggernaut in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So it comes back around.
Wow.
Wow.
Everything comes back around to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That's frightening. So, but, Spidey Dude has kind of shown his true colors here. No pun intended.
Oh, wow.
Because he saw a black vampire.
Because I'm referencing a blaxploitation film from the 70s in a comic in the 70s.
When I see vampires, or actually when I don't see vampires because they don't show up in a mirror. Anyway, that's not.
Moving on.
The vampire, J. Arthur Crank, and Spider-Man all go looking for the Mad Thinker. They find the Mad Thinker and they capture him, and that's the end of that story. Okay.
Hot dog. And then he put it back in his pants. Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, then we have, since we have no ads in Spidey Super Stories, we have a one-shot poster. Peter Parker packs a peck of trouble. Okay, now Peter is packing his Spider-Man suit away, and Aunt May is saying, "Are you ready for school, dear?" Peter says, "Yes, Aunt May, I'm ready for anything." But see, that's not what I want the boys and girls to pay attention. You can't see it here, but Peter has 3 photos on his desk. All right, the middle one is clearly meant to be Gwen Stacy. Okay, because she's got blonde hair and she's got the Gwen Stacy headband. The second one is a little more disturbing because that's Easy Reader.
Morgan Freeman.
Now, yeah, which is Morgan Freeman again. Now, why Peter has a picture of Easy Reader is a little frightening, but not nearly as frightening as a third picture, which is clearly him and Aunt May at the beach.
Oh,
Peter and Peter is shirtless.
And Aunt May is in what? Like a swimsuit?
well, she's kind of in an old person swimsuit, but so it's like, so he's got a picture of Gwen, which makes sense. Easy reader, and then him and Aunt May at the beach.
Look at some sort of harness they have to lower them into on a winch or something. What does that even mean?
Oh, Hornacek says that's from the Trouble miniseries.
Oh no!
Hornacek for the win there. All right. It's Michael Reed, the Oedipus complex.
Oh God!
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
God.
Oh God!
Let's move on. Okay. Anyway, the next story is The Birthday Bandit. Okay. Now, these middle stories in Spidey Super Stories were actually representations of the actual episodes that appeared on the Electric Company.
Brian C. says this podcast should be called 50 Shades of Spider-Man.
50 Shades of Predator.
No.
Now, so anyway, so the Birthday Bandit, Spider-Man faced the Birthday Bandit on the Electric Company. As you know, these episodes, Spider-Man didn't talk. He had word balloons, and you had to read his word balloons because that helped people like you people learn how to read. All right.
You people being
Me?
Brad Douglas.
No,
Let's be
he said
clear.
you. There's more than one with you. He said all three of us here.
So,
I wasn't around. during the
No,
Electric
stop.
Company.
He didn't mean me. Sorry.
He didn't mean me either.
He definitely didn't
No,
mean
he absolutely meant you.
anyway, we got to go back to the Birthday Bandit and poor Dickie. Because
Poor Dickie.
Oh.
Dickie Landon, poor Dickie Landon, because the Birthday Bandit breaks into
Of course,
houses.
the guy's name's Dickie.
It is because here's the birthday cake.
Oh God.
Happy birthday, Dickie. So basically, the birth.
Almighty.
I'm not lying. It says it. I'm unlike
We're not.
George would normally say I'm making shit up, but no, this is true. Happy birthday, Dickie.
Oh, no.
Okay, so the Birthday Bandit steals Dickie's birthday cake and party hats and party favors and the birthday cake and whatever, and he runs out. And
It's like throwing a gas can into a furnace.
and of course, Mom and Dad, oh my God, who could do such a horrible thing? Well, it's the Birthday Bandit. Well, so Spider-Man, where is Spider-Man at asked? Well, Spider-Man, it's his day off. He's reading a book and he's listening to the radio. And then here's the late news from station CTW. A mystery bandit stole little Dickie Landon's birthday. Every present, party, and favor.
It's breaking news. There's absolutely no news that happened that day.
Little Dickie got his birthday cake stolen.
They have to do a breaking bulletin about this just in. Somebody got their birthday cake stolen. More at 11.
So, but anyway, the story
We'll do a live shot later.
The story ends when the Birthday Bandit tries to steal J. Jonah Jameson's birthday cake, and well, anyway, Spider-Man winds up in the cake for some strange reason, and
He hops out of the cake like a stripper?
the Birthday Bandit thinks that Spider-Man's hiding in it, so he crushes the birthday cake, but Spider-Man is actually not in the birthday cake; he's behind him. But J. Jonah Jameson, seeing that Spider-Man has destroyed it, or the Birthday Bandit and he have destroyed the cake, throws birthday cake at Spider-Man.
We should just not do Amazing anymore. Let's just do all Spidey Super Stories. I mean,
Oh my God.
this is the
There
worst.
weren't that many of them though. There were
Spider-Man,
like 60.
Here's
That's
some
57
thing in your eye.
episodes of Spider Super
That's
Stories.
5 years worth of shows.
But anyway, this is the story now that you've been waiting for. Is
I have.
yeah. The next story is one piece bikini Shauna. This is the Trapper. Okay. Now this story starts out when Peter Parker enters a city science contest, and he receives the grand prize. Now, the grand prize is he wins a trip to Africa to hear a world-famous animal expert, Dr. Shanna O'Hara, will talk about saving animal life. And Peter, wiping the tears from his eyes, says, "It's too good to be true."
She's wearing a leopard print, dude. Do the math. This woman's lying to you.
So anyway, so Peter goes to Africa because he wants to hear this woman talk. Okay.
He's hoping for a seminar to get some more bikini. Okay.
So anyway, so she goes to her hospital. She brings out this leopard who she's going to skin later, and she brings out all these little sick animals. And then she says, at my hospital, we nurse these animals back to health and set them free again. Now, as you notice in this picture,
this is the most bizarre history ever.
In this little cage, there is an antelope.
Oh my God! Hold on, JR. You're bending your book. It's not being meant anymore.
Well,
there you go.
Well, I kind of rubbed off part of it where Shanna was anyway. So it's not.
Oh my God!
It wasn't meant to begin with. It hasn't been meant since I was 13 years old.
It was well used.
Oh, why did I put my headset back on just for that?
I have I think I have faced the whole episode.
Oh, this is so unclean.
So I have like a face hugger on my face right now.
So back to this, okay, where we have an antelope laying in some hay, and we have an alligator with him. Now, as you know, alligators and antelopes like to frolic together, and alligators especially like to frolic in hay. Oh my God! I'm not making shit up. There he is. He's like in hay. It's where the alligator and the antelope play in the hay. Anyway. So Shauna, anyway.
I just can't.
I can't even right now.
So Shauna, she's going to show off her white elephant, but it's not there. Okay, so she skins the leopard and changes.
Are you guys reading the YouTube comments? Oh my gosh!
Oh, I got to. Let's see.
I'd like to apologize to our Patreon members.
Oh God!
If you visit JR's home, never touch. Yeah, you're pretty damn right about that, Hornacek. Plus, I would cut your hand off anyway. Rubbed one on the little dick. No, that's just sad.
Oh my God! Clover fans.
Alligators do not live in Africa.
Yeah, all right. Africa's got
who brought reality to Spidey Super Stories?
That's Hornacek, super fan.
By the way, what is he doing? Is he just like spending time on Google instead of reviewing the funny moments in Spider-Man podcast?
He's doing God's work by pointing out your bullshit.
It's not. Well, it's not even his bullshit. It's his bullshit.
I think
it's here. It's not mine. I'm not making any of this.
I think it's absolutely hysterical. The longer this Spider history goes on with Super Stories, the more viewers we got. It just went up like 3 viewers since JR's talking about antelope and alligators.
Yes, listeners, by all means, please tune in more to Spider history. And by Spider history, I mean JR's tales of erotic self-discovery.
Well, I tell you,
JR just killed me.
I tell you, when you get to my age and you've had your children, you start rediscovering a lot of things.
Oh my dear God! Okay.
By the way, did I just tell you that I got one out of the house already? So anyway,
that poor girl.
So actually, that lucky girl, she's out of the house. But anyway, so Shanna skins the leopard and puts her bikini on, and then Peter says, "Well, I got to follow that action," so he changes to Spider-Man.
Oh my God!
But then they encounter each other, and Shanna, as Spidey's swinging by, she grabs him in the midsection here, as you can see.
Oh, that's inappropriate touching, clearly.
Yeah. So he should probably sue her, or at least he should report her to the Advocate. Oh, wait a minute, no, that's the wrong one. That's a different story.
The Advocate.
That's a reference to the current Kevin Spacey thing. But anyway, so if you watch news, if you guys watch news instead of cartoons like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, you would get these references. But anyway.
Well, now that Brad's no longer the newsman, he's just training the next generation of them.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Shanna skins the leopard, if you know what I mean. I hear the screams down in Africa, says Clover fan.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Spider-Man. So Shanna's, after she's done groping Spider-Man, which she obviously clearly is here, she says, "What are you doing here?" I know what I'm doing here, but what are you doing here? And Spider-Man says, "Well, I just got what I came for." But anyway,
oh dear God.
But he says, "Well, actually, I want to help you find your white elephant." And
this
Shanna
is so off the rails.
Shanna says, "You help me in the jungle." She says it wouldn't be safe, but Spider-Man says, "But I've been here before with Jennifer of the Jungle and Paul the gorilla," and it refers back to Spidey Super Stories #2. So we actually have continuity in Spidey Super Stories. And if you remember, Jennifer
talked about ever again after this.
Do you remember, if you watched your electric company back in the 70s, you remember Jennifer of the Jungle and Paul the gorilla? Okay,
I do.
leave it at that. Yeah,
I remember.
I don't remember Jennifer of the Jungle. Was that Rita Moreno?
No, it wasn't. No, it was.
If that was, that could potentially be pretty hot.
Oh my God.
No, it wasn't Rita. I'm trying to think if she had a recurring character on there, but I don't remember.
On the Electric Company, she was she's the one that says, "Hey, you guys," in the opening credits.
I thought that was somebody of a different ethnicity. But anyway,
hey, you guys.
No,
anyway,
not that way. God.
Okay. Spider-Man and Shanna capture the trapper and find the white elephant, and then Peter falls asleep during Shanna's class, and the white elephant squirts him. So anyway, I'm not making this up. Look, white elephant squirt. Yeah. Okay, out of the trunk.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay, and anyway, but of course we can't leave an episode of Spidey Super Stories without Spidey says, "Stop me if you've heard this one."
Oh, we got
where Spider-Man rides a goat into a farm. Okay. And he says, "You guys got your thinking caps on." He's, talking to these two hillbillies here. This farm's in Missouri. Anyway,
God dang it.
Why is it hard to talk with a billy goat around?
Oh no!
Haha, because he's always butting in, and the billy goat is definitely, as you can see, the billy goat is definitely going in at Spidey from the rear.
Oh my gosh!
So, Spidey Super Stories actually, when you think about it, it was educational, but not in the way that it was probably intended. It was educational in actually a very, very different way. Shauna. Anyway, what next?
Man. That was it.
I know. No.
Oh, you've got a treasury?
I've got it after all of that. Yeah. I'm bringing out the big one.
Oh, excuse me? Because there wasn't an annual, is that what you said?
There wasn't an annual. There wasn't an annual, and by the big one, I was not talking about the 12-inch Scarlet Spider. Anyway, there wasn't an annual. Brad has this thing now lately. He says, "Well, when you do a Spider history, and there's an annual that year, I want you to do an annual too." Which is why, folks, you got that dreadful show with Atlantis Attacks. Yeah. Brad said he wanted to do the annuals.
Well, we've never done the annuals, so I wanted to eventually review them.
Yes, and we reviewed Atlantis Attacks.
Yeah, so it's fortunate that we have JR around, by the way. So, well, I mean, number one, because of his advanced age, but number two, because otherwise folks today might not have a frame of reference for what John Byner's act was like live in the 70s. I think I just made JR spit. Is that the first spit take crawl space?
Now, see, that's pretty pathetic because I remember watching John Byner.
Not to be confused with John Byrne, yeah.
No, definitely not. I was about to say current events were played anyway. So anyway, actually, 1975. This
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Now, as you remember, now of course I don't know when those Friday Night Fight episodes are going to air, but it's funny because the first one was the Treasury edition with Spider-Man and Superman, which we had the famous Michael Bailey guest star. But there also, this was not the first Spider-Man Treasury edition, but it was the second one, and it came out in 1975. And what this was it reprinted 3 stories. And the first one actually was Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1, the first meeting of the Sinister Six.
And just blown up on the big paper.
Blown up good.
Oh, dear God.
But, this is 1975. And, for a 12-year-old kid in southern Indiana with no access, we had no internet in those days, kids. In fact, I don't even think we had cars. But anyway, particularly not in southern Indiana. So, I mean, no comic shops or anything like that. So, like, this was like my first opportunity, one of my first opportunities to actually see classic Spider-Man, classic Lee Ditko. And it was the annual #1, which is the first meeting or the first grouping of the Sinister Six. But what is really particularly special about this issue is when the whole thing is Spider-Man, he loses his powers due to some psychosomatic thing, which was kind of touched on in Spider-Man 2. The Tobey Maguire Alfred Molina movie. But anyway, so Spider-Man gets his powers back, and every time he fights the Sinister Six one-on-one. Well, every time he meets one of these guys, it gets like a full page panel.
It's pretty.
Now, I mean, that was the way it was in the original comic, but in blown up for the Treasury edition, so you get about five fairly nice, almost poster-sized fight scenes.
Yeah.
So, then the second story is the first Lizard, reprinting Amazing Spider-Man #6.
Oh, 6, yeah.
And let's see what the third one was. Oh, actually, here's a nice 2-page spread with Spider-Man's supporting cast at that time.
Ooh, that's a good one. How much is that Treasury? $2?
Well, no, actually, you got a bargain on it.
Yeah,
it was only $1.50.
That $1.50, okay. Probably because it was reprints, unlike the.
Well, Superman and Spider-Man came out the following year. So, and then the third story was The Molten Man Regrets. So, but this was. I was supposed to say.
Where did you pick that up? Did you pick it up? Where did you pick that up?
I think my mother ordered it as a Christmas present.
Oh, neat.
I think she ordered it as a Christmas present. But cool. Anyway, it was. There's the front and there's the back. But nice. It was that was a pretty snazzy gift for a 12-year-old Spider-Man fan back in the day.
So the question that we always pose to you, JR, was this a good month? November 75.
Well, let's see. Depends on your perspective.
Yeah.
Is this where you're going to bring me in?
Yeah. Well, I'll try to bring you in a non-pathetic sort of way. But
can't be done.
If you're thinking about, well, was this a classic month with a classic story? Yes, because one, it's obviously it was like the epilogue to the original Clone Saga, and probably it was the issue where Peter realized that it was Mary Jane that he loved. Now he kissed her earlier, like in issue 143. That was like their first big kiss. But in this issue, he realizes that Mary Jane Watson is the woman that he loves. Yeah. Which like George says much more articulately than I do. Folks, this didn't happen right away. They were friends and lovers for a long time. They'd broken up, but the thing is, Mary Jane had been in the titles for I think about 30 years, 25 or so issues, a couple of years before she had come back before the proposal. She was his best friend. She was his best friend during that time. She had a key to his apartment. She had a key to his apartment. She was the one that he told everything to because she knew he was Spider-Man. And literally one day it just hit him, it's like, because, Felicia had dumped him. He had a fling with Felicia and Felicia ran out on him, and Mary Jane was in there and, said some nice words or whatever. And she left, and Peter's sitting there and thinking, what the hell am I doing? you know, and he ran and got, I mean, so, you know, he realized that, you know, this was his best friend, so he was going to marry his best friend. I don't see what was so rushed about that. Do you, George?
There wasn't anything rushed about it. It's
Exactly.
it's just bullshit Marvel throws out. You know, like when Marvel says Mary Jane made the deal. Quesada loves to say that. Dan Buckley loved to say that. It's bullshit.
Yeah. But anyway,
if you actually read the bullshit story they wrote, it's evident just by reading it. But they continually smear her with this lie.
Yeah. But so really that's a classic issue from a good standpoint. From a bad standpoint, if you're a Clone Saga fan, this was the issue. This was the issue that Marvel tried to tell us 20 years later was the turning point, which was where, you know, the first issue where we were reading the adventures of clone Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
so,
we will be back next month with Spider History for December.
Yes, and there's another book from 1975 I could have brought up, but since it's related to Christmas, and next month is our Christmas show. We'll discuss it then.
All right, cool. Okay,
Douglas totally cuts me off.
I'm sorry. Well, we need to get going. I'm getting tired. All right.
I was going to bring out the fact that in the Clone Saga trade, they've got the first kiss. And of course, that infamous panel. And they actually collected everything, all of 150, but only the first 2 pages of 151. In the Clone,
JR, we're going to 2002, is that right, December?
Yes, we are, December.
Okay, let me pull this up.
What book is this?
This is going to be Amazing Spider-Man 487.
Here, I'll put it in the chat right here, guys. Here's the link to all the years.
Okay, here.
Let me close Shanna down over here.
All right.
We're in December 2002.
Yep.
I can definitely contribute on this part because obviously this was.
Are we recording? Are we streaming?
Yeah, I never stopped streaming. So.
Never stopped. Okay. Anyway, boys,
hold on. Let me introduce. It's a new episode. Okay, coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our December Spider History. We've got JR, of course. JR, another month, another history.
Yeah, I can hardly wait to see what I get for Christmas this year.
We haven't recorded that episode.
My family owes me. They just owe me.
They owe you.
They do.
Is there any spider-related gifts that you'd like for Christmas?
Well, let's see here. No, actually, what I would prefer my family do would be to become self-supporting. That would be the best gift they could possibly give me.
And we also have George. What's going on, George?
Yeah.
And we have Zach. What's going on, Zach?
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. It's just fantastic. It's been so long since I've talked to you guys. And, man, it's just a swell time. Last month, I literally had to go lay on the bed because I was so traumatized. So hopefully this month.
For Spider History? Yeah. Hopefully JR doesn't go so blue this time.
And JR's like, well, there goes that show.
And we're streaming this, of course, on YouTube, and we've got 18 people currently watching and chatting with us. So hello to you, YouTubers.
You poor
So
bastards.
JR, we're doing something in the 21st century,
amazing, isn't it?
as opposed to the 1970s, which was the last episode. We're going to December 2002 with this Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, number 46, written by Straczynski and John Romita Jr.
Yes. Now, in the chat window last month, or actually, people were noticing that I seemed to be preoccupied while all the other guys talked about the Fight Club, what's JR doing? Is he addressing his Christmas cards? What's he doing? Well, boys and girls, I was trying to avoid being fired. All right, because now you see, I have spent last month I spent like all day helping my daughter move, and so I had no time to do much. So, but I get this text out of the blue. What months did you pick? It wasn't like hi or anything. It was, what months did you pick? And here I wrote November 1975. That's all I've been able to prepare for, as I just got home from moving my daughter to her new apartment. Brad's response, we'll do Fight Club first so you have some time. So, so I was like, wow. So
I was trying to help you out.
So I was in a panic. I said, oh my God, I mean, Brad pretty well laid it on the line. I was going to try to just get away with doing one, but he pretty well said, no, he wanted 2 histories tonight. So while you guys are talking, I couldn't, I just was feverishly reading and writing and everything like that. I mean, I didn't even type my notes. These are all
Okay,
printed notes.
2 things real quick. All right. Number 1, I just realized looking at the camera, I'm slowly morphing into Alan Moore. All right, number 2. This is, what JR does, preparation on the fly, not, coming into shows not prepared. This is the kind of thing that you don't get on Spidey Friday Night Fights, where even when I get the issue number wrong, I'm still able to wing it on the fly as it happens. and
look at my giant dog.
I'm available to engage in JR's show as an active member and not just sit here working on the next issue of Friday Night Fights, which I don't do on camera because I'm a little more professional.
I think it's hysterical on the chat. Brian C goes, "Is this a real life version of Inception? What the hell's going on? When are they recording this?" That's funny.
Yes. Brad is one of those bosses that appears nice but is a hard ass.
I am.
I was about to say I never noticed him appearing nice whatsoever.
At certain points, I've seen Brad Douglas browbeat me into the shrivel of a man that I am now today.
Oh,
so
I'm not the mean boss.
I was about to say, when weren't you shriveled though? I mean,
dear God.
And we're off to a good start.
And we're off. Okay, Amazing Volume 246. What do we got happening this month?
Well, unfortunately, boys and girls, if you thought that Spider-Man giving himself a radioactive overdose, so when Moreland touched him and tried to eat him, that Moreland was killed by the radiation, and you thought, boy, that is the end of that crap. Boys and girls, you were wrong. Because just like a Ronco commercial, there's more. Anyway, so Peter's, the previous 3 months issues was the Spider-Man goes to California and tries to reconcile with Mary Jane, and then Doc Ock 1 shows up with Doc Ock 3, and then there's another big scene with Spider-Man lifting heavy debris. So
you forgot the cameo by Lobster Man. I mean, that was the most gratuitous cameo of the entire story.
Okay.
No, was it really a cameo?
No, I was making a joke, but never mind. Shutting up.
Okay. Anyway, so Peter's sitting on his bed, feeling sorry for himself because, Mary Jane didn't come back with him. His phone was disconnected. He apparently he won the lottery but didn't claim it in time. So he's trying to go to sleep.
Play that week. He didn't play that week.
Oh, he didn't play that week. Thank you. See, it's just this is exactly what George was talking about. My lack of preparation, doing it on the wing. I don't know if I can go on.
The only preparation JR knows is preparation.
Preparation H. All right. Anyway, so Peter's trying to go to sleep, and he can't go to sleep, and all kinds of random thoughts. And Straczynski kind of writes. I will give this at this time. Straczynski was kind of the anti-Bendis. Because even though Straczynski did a lot of stream of consciousness writing and dialogue, at least there was writing and dialogue rather than relying on Mark Bagley to tell the story. So Peter's trying to...
Shots fired.
Well, I don't know if it's a shot fired. It's like when you spend 13 issues of a 39-issue comic with no dialogue. I mean, who's the actual author of the story? But anyway, but then Peter goes to sleep. He just suddenly goes to sleep, and then he's in this dream world. All right, and Dr. Strange is there. Now, the reason Dr. Strange is there is for 2 reasons. Okay, one, because J. Michael Straczynski really would rather have written Dr. Strange. Second, he wrote a Doctor Strange miniseries that never saw the light of day, and he was trying to use Amazing Spider-Man to plug it, but it never showed. So,
yeah.
But anyway, so what Doctor Strange is the reason he's put Spider-Man into a deep slumber.
Peter is buck naked, by the way, talking to Strange. Have you seen that?
Yes.
He's like, I gotta put some clothes on.
Thank you for pointing out the nakedness there, Douglas. as if this wasn't already X-rated enough.
You know, folks, when you watch me, I give you gratuitous pictures of women. Anyway, how many people really wanted to see naked Peter Parker? Anyway,
Stella.
So what? She's dead though, right?
Sorry.
She died. That's right. Because we had a show and we cried because she was gone. Anyway.
No. she's doing just fine over at backrolltoracle.net.
Meanwhile, back in the story.
Oh.
Yeah.
She didn't get married, did she? That was April Fool's joke, wasn't it? Okay.
Yes, it was.
All right. The reason Doctor Strange has put Peter into a deep sleep is because a few issues ago, he helped Spider-Man get to the astral plane so Spider-Man could fight a villain by the name of Shade. Well, Doctor Strange warned him, do not leave the astral plane. Well, Spider-Man left the astral plane. And it's like going off the path in Bradbury's A Sound of Thunder. You know that it's not going to be good. So basically what Doctor Strange says is, because when Peter went off the path, he encountered a big spider that talked in riddles, which all these characters that Straczynski created for this whole story arc do. They don't really talk. They don't really contribute to the story. They just talk in riddles. So the spider talked in riddles, and then Spider-Man got back on the astral plane and, fought Shade. But now Doctor Strange says, you have become part of the food chain. All these spider gods and spider deities and stuff didn't know you existed until you went off the astral plane, and now your ass is toast because they all know where you are. They all know you exist. And so he tells Peter to go open up a dictionary. And so Peter gets home, he opens up the dictionary to the spider wasp. And the spider wasp is the most efficient spider killer in the insect kingdom. Oh boy. Well, we know this is going to be bad. So anyway, out of this gooey black portal comes this woman who looks like she just was wearing she was wearing a knockoff Venom outfit.
There she is, right there.
Outfit.
Yep.
Anyway, her name is Shathra,
who we've not seen since 2002.
And Shathra, as usual, like all these other characters that Straczynski has created, speaks in riddles. Shathra says, "Little spider, go home, go far from your mother. Shathra smelled you on the other side, followed the scent across the darkness." Now, this, if you recall, there's a big thing between odors and this whole spider mythology arc, because during what was that travesty? Spider Universe, Spider Multiverse.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
It started when Marlin, when Cindy Lou Who Moon came out of her bunker.
And then Moreland smelled her from like cross time and space.
Exactly. Moreland smelled her from across time and space, and that initiated the whole Spider-Verse thing. But Moreland could not smell a pig.
What?
Spider Pig.
At the very end, they substituted Baby Ben from the Mayday universe with Spider Ham, and Moreland couldn't tell the difference.
Yep.
Am I keeping you awake, Brad?
I'm sorry.
Am I keeping you awake? Hey,
I'm so.
God
anyway,
almighty.
so Shathra talks to riddles. They have Spidey and Shathra have their big first fight. Spidey gets away, but Shathra drops a hint that she knows who he is because she smells Parker. Okay. So then Shathra transforms herself into Sharon, walks into the Daily Bugle office, and says, Spider-Man likes kinky sex. Would you like to hear the details? Not making this up because...
Well, it's not what she says verbatim, but it's... Yeah.
She walks into
Heavily
Daily Bugle offices and says, we were lovers. He has many strange sexual habits. Would you like me to tell you about it for your newspaper? All right. Well, that was part one. This thing goes on for 2 parts more. Spider-Man, Peter has to make a frantic call to Mary Jane saying she's lying, she's lying, and she's lying. It ain't me. Spidey and Shoth were getting another fight. She stings him with one of her wasp thingies or whatever, and he crawls into a big vat of spiders. Well, then Ezekiel comes. Ezekiel talks to him. Ezekiel takes him to Ghana in Africa. Okay, and then in Africa, Ezekiel proceeds to tell him the story of Anansi, which I guess is the forerunner, mythological forerunner of all spiders. So he tells, Ezekiel tells Peter this story and says, oh, by the way, she's coming. And then he cuts himself and blood, he draws blood, and then these spiders start getting attracted to his blood. Anyway, so Shathra comes to Africa after Spider-Man, and they fight. And, but now Spider-Man, this fighting with Shathra has awoken the spider, not the man, the spider. And Peter's faced with this dilemma, how he wants to kill her. He should kill her. She's an animal, but if he does, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so he traps her, and a whole bunch of spiders that were drawn by Ezekiel's blood get on her, make her fall into a pit, and she's dead, and she hasn't showed up since. Thank goodness.
And even more importantly, a couple of issues after that, Mary Jane came back for good.
Yep.
And by for good, I mean until Quasain to erect it.
Let's move on to Peter Parker's Spider-Man number 49.
Yes.
Written by Mr. Jenkins and art by Mark Buckingham.
Yeah, this is I'm not sure what Paul Jenkins was going for here. He decided to do a riff on the Bhopal Union Carbide chemical accident in India. The plot of this story is a priceless jewel, the Star of Persia, has been stolen by an Indian woman. India, not American, India. Anyway. But she's leaving like little lotus blossoms all over the place for Spider-Man to follow, and getting his attention because she wants his help. And anyway, during this time, we see Barker the dog. Now, this time, Peter lived across from a woman called Karen who had a dog by the name of Barker, and we never knew what Barker's deal was. But in this issue, Barker is having a party with friends, and Barker is wearing a tux. But we never really find out what Barker's deal is. And but I thought it was worth mentioning because that was one of those subplots that whatever Jenkins was working toward was never ultimately resolved. All these lotus blossoms and things lead Spider-Man to the corporate towers of a business called AGK. And that's the end of part one. Part two, we find out that this villainous corporation, AGK, was paid money by the CRA to develop let me see, make sure I got this right. Because we see the Indian woman appear, and she's got this black goop on her. And when Spider-Man decides...
Look at that opening page of Spider-Man talking to that guy.
Spider-Man talks to a yoga teacher, and he's all yogied up.
I haven't seen that since it came out. That's funny.
Hey, boo boo, I'm doing yoga. But anyway,
that's not the same.
That's not the same. What the?
That works.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Oh, this guy said it's not over till it's over. Anyway, so
no, that's not. Oh my God!
I'm too tired to go. Let's go.
Anyway, so he figures that talking to this Indian dude, because if he talks to one Indian dude, he learns about all Indian people.
Louise.
But see, this girl, this lady has also been leaving like scarves with question marks on them, and so Spider-Man brings the scarves to Yogi, And he says, "What this mean?" He asks, "What's this mean?" And Yogi goes, "Whoa, hey, it means that you've been visited by a goddess." But so ultimately, what this leads him to the CIA paid this company $100 million to create this nano virus, and it was unleashed on these people because the CIA wanted to use these nano viruses to bring out people's latent mutant abilities. Have we seen this before? And it wound up killing a whole bunch of people. And Tara, the goddess, now shows up at the corporate headquarters and says, "By the way, that I want $50 million for my people, or I'm not going to for me to give you your precious diamond back." Well, all in the background, there's been this evil bald guy. Brad, you know the type. There's been this evil bald
George Berman.
Well, no, I can't see. I can't. George is wearing a hat. I can't.
Yeah,
see
I'm pretty sure he was talking about Brad. There, back. Let me do the math for you on that one.
So, it's funny. Brad is really tired. Okay, he's really tired while I'm going. But how many times?
We're gonna see Douglas fall asleep on cam. It's gonna happen.
I got up at 6 a.m.
How many times has he done message boards, and we just going and going and going, and it's like 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting really tired, and we just keep going. And here Brad is. It's not even 2, or it's barely 2. 1 his time, and he's doing the tired thing.
Tired.
Did you spend 12 hours helping, loading up a Penske rent-a-truck and taking it to Berea?
I sure did.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm surprised about how much energy JR actually has.
Was working on a lesson plan for the Missouri public school system.
How are you so excited? How are you so? You're so excited.
Which probably consisted of here, kids, Dick and Jane. Okay, C-spot run. Now here's your diplomas.
JR is hitting me because I'm so tired. I can't really fight back. I can just Kirby fight him.
So there's been this evil bald guy who decides that Tara wants $50 million. She's trying to blackmail the company. He says, "No, we're not going to do it." And he points a plastic gun at her, but the plastic gun has more of this nano virus, and he's going to shoot her with it. Well, Spidey comes in, big fight breaks out. Evil bald guy falls into a whole bunch of test tubes full of the nanovirus. Well, guess what? It covers him up, and he becomes a villain that he calls itself the Virus. And guess what he looks like? He looks like Venom.
Oh gosh!
And then he disappears down He disappears down a hole.
By the way, JR, Mike McNulty's on the line and chat. He goes, "JR is on Osborne Cappuccino."
Fake Mike?
Fake Mike, yeah.
You notice he didn't have the guts to come on when the real Mike was here. He waited until Michael Bailey left because he was too intimidating.
Wow.
So, but anyway, this story, the implication is the CEO is going to go to jail. Tara disappears. Peter's reading the newspaper that talks about this company and the CIA link to this nanovirus being, put together or whatever. Everybody's starting to put together. Anyway, Tara comes up behind him, says, "Thanks for your help," disappears, leaves a lotus flower, and she walks off into the crowd, kind of like what's her name, Patricia Helfer did in the very last episode of Battlestar Galactica. Just kind of walks off into the crowd in New York, and that actually happened. Did you guys watch?
Yeah, no, I did. You just
okay.
By the way, Shothra did make. Somebody pointed out Shothra did make an appearance in the Scarlet Spider title towards the very end. So,
my God, Brad is so about to just drop dead.
I know.
He's almost.
Well,
Brad,
I'm here. I'm still here.
Where's your Mountain Dew?
It's right here. Hold on.
He's going to be asleep within 5 minutes of us.
Oh, when I hit that pillow, baby. It's... here.
I don't feel sorry.
Hulk like green drink.
I don't feel sorry for you. It's like we do 3 hours of a show. Let's go into message board questions, boys.
I don't
and girls.
either. JR, I don't feel bad about it either because he'll set up the shows and he's like, "No, let's throw this other thing in that'll take another goddamn hour to fix." to cover. Yeah, let's totally throw that in there.
Even
So,
better. Let's start at 9 o'clock. Don't get started till 9:30, and then act like we're supposed to be, all peppy. And
I would fight you all, but I don't have the energy. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm gonna take it easy on Brad's feeble mind there, and I'm not gonna go over Tangled Web number 19.
Well, we can if you want. I mean, real quick.
Actually, no, because I didn't read it.
Okay.
And
That's honesty.
That's the type of quality show prep that you can expect from Spider History, but not from Friday Night Fight.
Now, see, the reason
at least y'all got segments.
See, the reason I will not review a book unprepared is because George always accuses me of making shit up. So
you prepare for. What are you talking about?
That's not making shit up. That's embellishing. Okay. This would be making shit up. Also,
oh my gosh.
Also, this month,
Josh Nelson says Brad is like Windows Vista right now.
That's well done.
That's an insult to Windows Vista.
Brad's body is shutting down. Okay, I'm sitting up. Hornacek,
right.
I'm not shrinking anymore. I'm sitting up.
His eyes are like they're closed. It's like, it's like he's underwater, for fuck's sake.
So in this episode, we already learned that Spidey Dude was shriveled and Brad is shrinking.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, do we have any more books from that month? Let's see. We got
Spider-Man. Spider-Man Blue Part 6, which, as you remember, was actually had some really snazzy covers.
We've got Get Craven this month. Oh, Jesus.
But we're not doing that. We're not doing. Anyway, this redid in 6 issues what took Stan and John Romita 6 pages to do back in the 60s.
It was pretty though.
The covers were gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was basically
back when. I'm sorry, Zach, but let me throw this out there real quick. JR, do you remember back when we were at Hero Realm?
Yes.
And
some of the best times of my life.
One of our reviewers, I think it was Zach Couture from Canada, reviewed the Craven issue of Get Bent or Get Craven.
Get Bent.
Well, that was his review. He literally sent me a 2-word review. much like in the fictional movie Spinal Tap, when somebody gave a 2-word review for one of their for their album Shark Sandwich, and it was shit sandwich. And Zach sent me in a 2-word review, and I ran it. And it was called, Get Craven, and his 2-word review was Get Bent, and he gave it an F. And I was one of the most poignant things I've ever, to the point.
Which unfortunately was still probably more print that was just that.
You know what that author did after he wrote that? He went out and started dating Cher. Does everyone remember
that was before. That was way before he was writing for Spider-Man.
Oh,
that was way before.
But anyway, one more, since this is the Christmas show, and I alluded to it last month, that came out in 1975. For 3 Christmases in a row, Marvel Treasury Editions, they came out with the superhero holiday grab bag.
Yeah.
1975's was the second one of these. And they were basically reprints of older stories that featured all of these characters. Yeah. And the Spider-Man, there was an old Nick Fury story. And the Spider-Man story is Spidey Goes Mad, which was originally Amazing Spider-Man number 24. Number 24, which, which introduced Ludwig Reinhardt, who also made an appearance in Amazing Spider-Man number 193, and was also the name for Mysterio. But anyway, these little grab bags, I think this was a Christmas present, another Christmas present. My brother and I each got one.
That's cool. What's on the back cover?
Superheroes.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So,
JR, I give you props for just avoiding all the different connotations of grab bag. That's like low-hanging fruit tonight. I mean, I'm so glad that you didn't take that.
Yeah, I know, because I could have said, well, giant superhero holiday grope bag, but I resisted because I have too much class for that.
Clearly.
So Get Craven came out, and Blue came out. And the Spider-Man Legend of the Spider Clan #1 came out this month. Good grief! That
Yeah, but it was an ungodly amount. It's no wonder thing.
Paradise X Marvel #2. Remember that?
Brad looks like a boxer that's had just the shit kicked out of it.
I was about to say, look at those dark circles.
Look at the eyes, man. I mean, they're barely open. This is when the ref would say, "No, you're done. You're done. You're done."
I think during the intermission, Mrs. Crawlspace popped him one.
No. So I've been up since 6 a.m. I guess it's just catching up with me.
Oh, hang on. Where's my violin?
Yeah.
So JR was it a good month? Well, not really.
Oh yeah, JR was in a good month.
we had more of that Mystic Spider crap nonsense that ultimately went nowhere. And then we had a story by Paul Jenkins, which was just actually very derivative. And Jenkins was very up and down. I mean, he could tell some great one-part stories, but whenever he tried to actually, I guess, do a real superhero story, didn't always deliver the goods. But anyway, so yeah, the virus I don't think has ever been seen again. So,
hey, JR, Matt Bird from YouTube chat would like for you to talk about just real quick, Revenge of the Green Goblin, trade it and give your thoughts.
That's
about
a novel, isn't it?
Was it? Is it a novel?
I think it's a novel. Because I never read it, but I have it.
Oh, Revenge of the Green Goblin
Didn't
trade.
That was read it.
Yeah, we have talked about it. We have talked about it before. It was a 3-part mini written by Roger Stern. It was kind of.
What is the prose novel I'm thinking of that Busick wrote?
It's Goblin Moon.
Oh yeah, I've never read that one.
Drops his pants.
Lord have mercy.
But no, actually, Goblin Moon wasn't. And actually, I don't know how much Busiek actually wrote because it's a very amateurish novel and a very shallow take on the Green Goblin.
What is Revenge of the Green Goblin? I don't remember.
Revenge of the Green Goblin was kind of the middle story in between like Amazing and I think in Peter Parker. Because it was the Green Goblin, Norman trying to convert Peter into his heir.
Oh, is that from 25 ASM 25?
Yeah, and
it's got that hologram color or something.
Yeah, this was the story where actually I don't think it had special covers, but they weren't holograms. But the Revenge of the Green Goblin was kind of the setup where Norman was drugging Peter, and Peter was going out.
Drugged his toothpaste, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and that miniseries was where Norman got laid.
By who?
His nurse. So I actually have talked about that before. What did I think of it? For a Stern written job, I expected more. It's okay. But it's not really much better than okay, to be honest. It is notable because it's the first time we actually get Norman's wife's name. I mean, she'd been referred to for decades, and she always died. But so she finally gets a name, and we finally, kind of see the depth of Norman's attachment for her, and the fact that when Norman falls pretty hard, literally and figuratively.
Like Brad's about to fall tonight.
Yep, but it was an okay miniseries. If you're a Green Goblin fan, definitely get it, but don't expect a classic story.
Yeah. All right, before we wrap this episode up and I go to bed, any last questions for JR while we have the Spider Yoda on the line?
Well, that's
Friends actually did the artwork on that as well. So,
sorry. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Do you, Brad? Do you, Brad? Really?
I do. It had a great cover with just a pumpkin bomb sitting at the very bottom right or something like that.
Yeah, that was issue 1. Yeah. That was the first.
Yeah, that was. Brad, why are you still trying to make this show longer? Was
that the one where it's revealed Norman has another son? No, that was actually the infamous Sins Past, where
that was
Gabriel. Where he found out that Norman and Gwen. Yeah, but that's another podcast. In fact, I could actually look it up for you if you wanted.
Oh my God, Josh wants to know what JR's favorite Spider-Man stories of the '80s are, and also why is JR so awake and full of energy?
That's a damn good question because usually I'm about to fall asleep at this time.
It's because of all the working out he did, because he actually, was like lifting things and moving things around, and so his body produced some natural hormones that actually enabled him to
I don't think
have the energy.
My body hasn't produced hormones for almost 30 years.
Jesus.
I mean, no.
I think JR's answer for the 80s is the Hobgoblin arc, if I had to guess.
You're probably
And probably the
Stern's run.
Ock and the Owl in the spec, probably.
Yep. Stern's run on Amazing and Mantlow's run on second. I think it was his time back. I think he did 2 runs on Spectacular, but Mantlow's second run and Stern's run on Amazing. You really can't go wrong with either one of those.
Yeah. Okay. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
My gosh.
It's a great month.
Well, since Brad is too tired, I would like to thank everybody out there for joining the live stream, for contributing your questions.
That's a big yawn.
And I'd like to thank George for for saying usual George stuff, and I'd like to thank Zach for being the pathetic punching bag that he usually is.
Hey,
Jeez.
And and a special shout out to our special guest Michael Bailey, doing those Friday night fights, which he actually upped the game of those, because they're kind of it's kind of Spider History light, because you only get because you see with Friday night fights you only get the fight, but with Spider History you get the panorama.
Whatever.
You get
an old man phoning it in from Ohio.
Oh,
That's what you get. That's what you get.
Well, that is true. That is the delivery method.
So funny. An old man phoning it in from Ohio is a great line.
Yeah. Not as classic as since you're not the sharpest crayon on the block, now your wife's got to be in a Batman villain. But that was a pretty good one, George.
Hornacek, who drugged Brad? Gosh, someone spiked Brad's punch.
Yeah, someone
needs to get all these screen captures of Brad yawning or Brad's eye sagging or whatever. Just
hey,
make
Brad,
a Facebook page out of it.
Here's a concept, not starting at 9 o'clock. Just saying.
Dude,
there was one time when Brad was like like this, and I was just waiting for the eyes to close. And for him to just be out, man. I really was.
And the great thing about it is that after 8 hours is when the feed would stop if he fell asleep, and you would have a continuous feed on the YouTubes of just him going.
Now, Brad yawning needs to be the album art for this podcast.
Yeah. Now, boys and girls, look at Brad and look at me, and you tell me who is the old man. All right. So,
phoning it in from Ohio.
So you don't have a comeback, so you got to steal mine?
Well, it hurts him so hard. At this lack of oxygen in my brain, I can't really insult the man.
Brad's brain is full of Montemil and
I was waiting for Brad to sink below the camera frame.
I was about to say, I think those earphones are on a little bit too tight. Well, anyway, folks, thank you very much for attending. I think that's it. We'll sign off now.
I'm still awake. I can still. I'm not asleep yet.
That's to be
good
determined.
fight.
I think you may be sleep casting right now.
I'm sleep podcasting. Yeah.
Now, to quote the immortal Celebrity Deathmatch, good fight.
Yeah.
Good night.
Zach, who was the winner of that fight? Was it George or JR?
I think in this case, George's body blows were substantial. However, I think that JR Snark was the actual winner in this, and JR. Well,
he called
both
you
of them.
pathetic.
There you go.
Well, JR.
JR is doing his George. Look, he's smoking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I honestly think that if it was a fight between George, JR, and you, Brad, you done got your ass whipped.
No, I'm done.
So,
I'm done. I can't even fight. I'm so sleepy.
You're so done, we need to stick a fork in you, buddy.
Hold on a second. I'm tearing up over here.
You're crying.
Brad
You know when you're sleepy and your eyes just start watering? That's what's happening to me.
All right.
Hornet
Boys
said,
and girls, I think that's going to be it. Okay, hey.
Brad is in the grave saying, "I'm not dead," with JR shoveling dirt in.
JR's not just shoveling dirt. JR's also watering it as well.
Brad got hit with the sleeper, according to Alex. Oh my gosh! What did JR? I'm reading the YouTube comments. What's he? What did he just say? I missed it.
Nothing.
Okay.
He said he's watering on your grave and he's not using the water hose.
Oh gosh. All right. JR is laughing maniacally as he buries Brad alive, according to Josh.
A rear naked choke.
I got to go to bed. Thank you all 21 of you. I'm going to be asleep.
Good night, McNulty.
2 seconds. Mike, we'll see you next weekend, sir.
Mike, I'll see you Monday night.
Yeah. What's happening Monday night?
We play D&D.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
JR, are you good for next weekend? Friday or Saturday to record news and reviews?
I don't know. Well, you know what? Isn't that the weekend Justice League debuts? Yeah, that's right. I won't be going to that.
Me either.
Yeah, I guess so, because I ain't got anything else going on.
All right, cool. All right.
All right. How many? Well, we'll talk about that later on.
What's that?
I was wanting to know: are we doing satellites? Or are we not doing satellites? But we'll talk about that more.
I don't have satellites.
No, we do, dude. No.
We might put spec on that ASM episode.
We still got to do the Christmas show. We still got to do Jeopardy next month. We still got, dude. So we got to cut the
live callers in January. Yeah.
Oh yeah, live callers. Because of the crash. Okay, I'm out. Thank you, fellas. As always.
Good night, Joe. Yep, it was fun. And Brad, get some sleep.
Hey, we're gaining viewers as we're signing off. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, folks.
It's because we've been doing it for so long. All of our British friends are like, "Oh, hey, let's oh, look, it's the YouTubes."
It's the YouTubes. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Okay.